welcome you to our first webinar of the new year. In keeping with our integrative personal planning goals to address not just your financial capital, but also the other areas of your life that are so important to your overall well-being, we've invited Georgia Costas to speak today. Some of you may remember Georgia from our Client Educational Forum a few years ago. Georgia lives in Dallas, and Russ and I met her through our daughter Nicole when she was a freshman at SMU in Dallas. Nicole consulted with Georgia about nutrition and healthy eating. Georgia is a nationally recognized nutrition and diet expert. She consults with individuals, companies, corporate wellness programs, and the food industry to promote nutritional health. She specializes in weight loss, preventive and cardiovascular nutrition, health promotion, and nutrition communications. And Georgia previously for 25 years served as the founder and former director of nutrition at the Cooper Clinic in Dallas, which is a premier preventative medicine and cardiovascular clinic. And there she counseled over 25,000 individuals on how to lead healthier, more vibrant lives through diet, exercise, and lifestyle changes. Georgia is an author as well, and she has authored the Cooper Clinic Solution to the Diet Revolution, Step Up to the Plate, and she's also a frequent resource to the media on nutrition issues. It is my pleasure to turn this over to Georgia Costas.
Thank you, Vicki. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this seminar. As Vicki mentioned, I'm a registered dietitian and nutritionist and have enjoyed nutrition counseling people in person or by phone for the last 30 years. And I love working with people who want to be proactive about their health, and I imagine you're here today because you too want to be proactive about your health. I know sometimes it can seem overwhelming when you think about overhauling eating habits, but the good news I have for you today is that we're going to talk about nutrition with a fresh approach where you make very small changes that add up to give you a world of benefit over time. And that is really what works for most people, small changes, small eating patterns that may seem inconsequential on a daily basis, but over time add up to huge benefits. So that's what we'll be addressing today. Whether you choose to focus on one small change or several in the coming year, it's up to you, but I will introduce you to 12 tips today that will hopefully make it the healthiest year ever for you and years ahead of good health. I am so sorry to have a little technical difficulty. I'm trying to change the next slide, and I can't seem to change it. Ellen or Vicki, should I, do you have any recommendations for me?
Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
You should be able to have control.
Okay. Let's see. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
You can see it. Okay. Do you have some icons in the right-hand corner? Or is it a clean screen for you?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Oops. I just tried to change slides again, though, and it won't quite let me do it. I'm so sorry for all of you listening.
Okay.
It has been a technical difficulty morning. We're working on this.
How about now?
Let me see if I can. I don't know why I can't change my slides. Do you have the capacity to? If you could change them, that'll work.
I will do that.
Okay. All right. Now, I'm not sure I'll be able to see you change them, but I'm okay with that. I think it'll, well, let me just try one thing. Never mind. The key and mouse, is that set up for you? Wait, let me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can everybody
okay.
see my screen then?
I guess, can everyone see the screen? And are you on the next slide that says health goals?
Health goals.
Okay, great. Okay. I can't see the screen, but I have a printout of my slides, so I think this will work just fine. Okay, why should we invest in our health? Why should we put forth the effort to change our lifestyles when all of us know that changing eating habits is not easy? Well, there are many reasons we might put forth the effort, but most people are looking for more energy, less stress, more fitness, just a better concept of what foods are healthy. Maybe we're looking for a healthier body weight or to sustain our good health and prevent disease ahead. Maybe we just want to feel better. So many reasons are very worthwhile for making the effort to eat in the best way we know how. Next slide. As Dr. Kenneth Cooper, the father of aerobic medicine, once said, it is easier to maintain good health through proper exercise, diet, and emotional balance than it is to regain it once it is lost. And that is so true. Prevention is still the best medicine. Next slide. This is a friend of mine, Fan Ben-O'Karis in Dallas, and she truly is 92 years old. Actually, in 2 weeks she becomes 92, and this was her picture taken last year. She has a wonderful slogan, I forgot to grow old. And she reminds me that we can be fit at any age and that staying healthy, staying active keeps us young. This lady was my walking partner 20 years ago when we signed up together for a power walking class. And after about 2 weeks of walking with her every day after work, I had to quit because she was giving me shin splits. She was so fast. She's gone on to win 4 Olympic medals, and she was excited about turning 90 because she said there'd be less competition in her age bracket. So we can be forever young if we stay active. The next slide, please. Most people that come to me for nutrition counseling ask the same questions. How can I eat in a healthy way with quick and simple meals? How can I enjoy more energy, less stress, manage my weight, not gain weight, protect my health, stay physically strong, and prevent many of the chronic diseases that we get as we get older? And most importantly, I don't want to feel like I'm on a diet, and I do not want to omit my favorite foods. Well, again, the good news is you can accomplish all these things without having to give up favorite foods. It's just the portions in which we eat those favorite foods that is important to include, and secondly, maybe to eat certain foods, richer foods, less frequently. But I don't believe in giving up any favorite foods because we're talking about a lifestyle here and a lifetime of eating, and we have to include our favorite foods. Even if they're rich and chocolatey, we can still include them. We just need to include them less frequently. Okay, the next slide, please. Top on my list for healthy foods is seafood. And the American Heart Association has recommended that we eat seafood twice a week in order to eat the healthy fish oils, or omega-3s, that are so important for heart health. By simply eating seafood twice a week, we reduce our risk of heart disease by 40%. Now, that's almost cutting heart risk in half by the simple habit of having seafood twice a week. And what the Heart Association recommends is 2 servings of restaurant-sized portions, so large enough fish fillets. And usually the oilier fishes like salmon, sea bass, tuna steaks, anchovies, sardines, those are your fattier fish. Now, I tend to recommend fish even 4 times a week, including shrimp and crab and lobster, your shellfish, because they virtually have no fat. And from a weight perspective, since most of us gain weight through the years and are always trying to find ways to prevent weight gain, simply by having seafood 4 meals a week, you can slash enough calories to either lose 10 pounds a year or not gain 10 pounds a year if you are likely to gain 5 pounds at Christmas and 5 pounds with a summer vacation. So eating seafood more often helps with weight as well as heart. And it's simple if we learn how to cook just a couple of seafood recipes, maybe one for stovetop and one under the broiler, maybe one on the grill. You know, seafood, if it's fresh and not frozen, is the quickest meal you can cook. It takes less than 5 minutes, so it can be a very quick, delicious meal at home. Next slide, please. And heart disease is not a man's disease anymore. We used to think that it was, but now we know that the fastest growing segment in our population that have heart disease are women in the 45 to 55 age bracket. That's partly because women are smoking more in that age bracket, and it's secondly because we're just gaining so much weight. So weight should be our first line of defense for our health. In terms of being healthier, if we can keep a healthy weight, we lower our risk of heart disease, lower cholesterol, lower blood pressure, and lower blood sugar. Next slide, please. I mentioned the omega-3 fatty acids that lower our risk of developing coronary heart disease. And one of the benefits of the omega-3s is that they also help prevent arrhythmias. When our heart rhythm gets off, that's when we're more likely to have a heart attack or stroke. Now, if you've had your triglycerides measured, which are blood fats, the fish oils will lower the triglycerides by up to 50% by consuming a fish oil tablet 3 to 4 grams per day. It's hard to eat enough fish to give you the 3 or 4 grams a day, but the fish oils or tablets are wonderful. Eating the fish and fish oils helps to delay the growth of plaque in our arteries and blocks inflammation of arterial walls. What we know now is what causes most heart disease is inflamed arteries that are injured arteries, and a little piece breaks off, a little piece of plaque breaks off, gets engulfed by a blood clot, and that clot can go to the brain or to the heart. So keeping arteries healthy, the walls healthy, is the cellular way to prevent heart disease, and the omega-3s block the inflammation of arterial walls. And they thin our blood just like an aspirin. So that's why it's so important and helpful to include fish at least 2 times, but 2 to 4 times a week. And notice the Heart Association goals. They say if you have no coronary artery disease, 500 milligrams a day of omega-3 tablets. If you don't eat fish, and I do realize some people are allergic to it, the Cooper Clinic recommends 1,000 milligrams a day, and so does the Heart Association because of the other benefits, health benefits of having omega-3s in the diet. Next slide, please. From the next chart, you can see why salmon is such a good source of omega-3s. That 6-ounce fillet gives you half of the omega-3s needed in a whole week. The 3.7 grams is about half of the 7 grams of the fat, the oils that we need a week. And notice the tuna steak has quite a bit of omega-3 also. On the right, I've just listed on a weekly basis, if you had salmon once, 2 tuna fish sandwiches, and a couple of tablespoons of canola oil or flax seeds in your meals weekly, you can meet your omega-3 target for the week and not ever need to take a fish oil tablet. Next slide, please. The DHA is a type of omega-3 that is being used to supplement many foods in the food market today. And on this next slide, you'll see one of the products, Cabot omega-3 DHA fortified cheese that you can mail order if it's not in your city. But it's a way to eat a low-fat cheese that is delicious and still get omega-3s. The next slide, please. These are some other products that have the DHA added, and you want to look for foods with either DHA or EPA added. Those are the fish oils that give the most benefit. And notice they're even putting it in children's food and baby food and Yoplait for kids because it helps with brain health and learning. Children that have more omega-3s learn more quickly, and they're finding that with adults it's the same thing. And in individuals that do not get dementia, they tend to find that this DHA fish oil is concentrated in the nerve cells of the brain. So it shows us that the omega-3s are good for the heart as well as the brain, and they're good for vision. Next slide, please. There are many foods now that are having fortification with the fish oils, and you will often see DHA, the marine fish oil, and ALA, which is a plant oil that is from flaxseed oil, and it is being used in pastas and breads and spreads like Smart Balance and Promise. So just keep your eyes open, and you can get more fish oil in products at the grocery store. This brings us to the next slide, which is the second top food to eat in my book, and that's more berries, all kinds of berries. Blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, even cherries fall in this category. Berries contain antioxidants, which we'll talk about in a little while, but these ingredients help to keep those blood vessels healthy. So remember, when you think of berries, they're good for the blood vessels, and they also help protect the blood from clotting, so they're good blood thinning agents as well. So we get cancer protection and heart protection with more berries. You can eat them fresh, and these days you can get them fresh all year, or you can buy them frozen and toss them in a smoothie, or heat them and put them on top of pancakes, or stir them in your oatmeal. So many ways to eat more berries or cranberries. Next slide, please. The next food to eat more of are red foods, anything red, tomatoes and berries, even carrots, red bell peppers, anything that's red. And it's almost like nature is telling us, is signaling us and saying anything red is good for us. Next slide, please. These are some examples of some red foods. We've mentioned the value of tomatoes, but red bell peppers, the red pigment in tea. There's green and red pigments in tea. Red grapes are superior to green grapes. Red apple peels, oranges, sweet potatoes, carrots. So the orange pigment, like cantaloupe, is as good as the red. Eggplants have a red pigment in them, red grapes, darker grapes. All these foods, again, have blood thinning capacity and powerful antioxidants that protect the blood vessels. Next slide, please. In this category, I really also want to emphasize tomatoes every day, whether you eat them fresh or raw in a salad, or a handful of baby sweet grape tomatoes with a sandwich, tomato sauces instead of creamy sauces on pasta, or even V8 juice, because tomatoes not only are rich in vitamin A and C, but they have particular antioxidants that seem to be very helpful with healthy blood vessels. Next slide, please. And they're so enjoyable, they're just delicious to eat. Okay, the next slide, in the top number four food is green, anything green and leafy. So it's a good year to go green. We really should eat a salad every day to get those fresh greens in our diet, because your green leafy even have a benefit over other green vegetables, like even a green pepper, a green vegetable that isn't as leafy. And every nutrient known to man is in these green leaves. Some of the micronutrients, magnesium, copper, nickel, manganese, as well as all the B vitamins, iron and calcium, vitamin A and vitamin C, they're all in greens. So these are a wonderful way to add great nutrition to our life. Next slide, please. One of the greatest ingredients in green leafy vegetables is folic acid, a B vitamin, which gets its name from being in foliage of folic acid. And this particular B vitamin in green leafy vegetables lowers homocysteine, which is a amino acid in our bodies that is a marker for inflammation. So you want to have lower levels of inflammation, so therefore the folic acid will lower the inflammation in our bodies. Our chief sources of folic acid are in beans, greens, grains, and orange juice. So try to eat beans or greens every day, and you will definitely get enough folic acid. Next slide, please. The greens are also important because they lower another biomarker for heart disease called C-reactive protein. The American Heart Association is adding this marker to their risk factor list and thinks one day it might be more powerful a predictor of heart disease than even cholesterol. Its inflammation is identified by C-reactive protein, has been linked to a number of leading health concerns. And notice on the right hand of the screen, it can be lowered by eating more fruit and vegetables, omega-3s from fish, the antioxidants from fruit and vegetables, less trans fats. Trans fats are in processed foods, so this means just stick with fresh, basic foods, and then eating smaller meals. Instead of a 12-inch Subway, you're better off with a 6-inch Subway at one meal and a 6-inch at the other. Break it up, because smaller meals tend to be related to less inflammation in the body. Next slide, please. These are just some reminders of some of the green leafy vegetables out there and ways to get greens, but asparagus, coleslaw, cabbage, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, kale, all kinds of green leafy vegetables and other green vegetables are very valuable. Bok choy is another. And on the bottom left of the screen is cilantro, because even your herbs and spices that are from green leafy plants are very easy ways to add greens to our life. Next slide, please. And don't forget about green tea coming from a leafy green. 4 to 5 cups of green tea a day have been even linked to helping us lose weight. How much? Maybe a pound every 6 weeks. But that adds up over the course of a year. It's the antioxidants and other factors in green tea that are helpful. And yes, there is caffeine in green tea. So, if you're watching caffeine, you may want to not have the 4 to 5 cups, but just for good health, even 3 or 4 cups a day have been shown to help keep cholesterol levels low. All teas, green, white, black, red, all the teas are very rich in antioxidants that are heart healthy. Next slide, please. Heart healthy and blood vessel healthy. All the herbs and spices are very good. I might mention oregano because it has the same antioxidant power as blueberries. So very healthy, and you can sneak it into anything. You can add it to almost any steamed vegetable that you cook, add it to chicken or fish or beef. And cinnamon is also great. 1/4 teaspoon a day has been shown to lower blood sugar levels. So with so many Americans experiencing high blood sugar, this can help to normalize blood sugar. You can add cinnamon to beef dishes, to soups, to yogurt, to oatmeal, to cereals, even to your coffee, and it's delicious. Next slide, please. Cinnamon in your cooking also adds a sweetness to cooking. The antioxidants that you've heard me speak about are basically vitamins A, C, and E, and certain plant nutrients from plant foods that neutralize or destroy what we call free radicals. Free radicals are produced in the body from just normal oxidative reactions in the body, but unfortunately they produce, these free radicals are harmful to the body and linked to a number of diseases. But we can turn those diseases around and block them by eating more plant foods. So what we want is a more plant-oriented diet, a more vegetarian-like with a little meat, fish, and chicken added. Next slide, please. Your plant foods are also rich in phytonutrients that I also call fighting nutrients, because along with antioxidants, the phytonutrients actually help to block our chances of getting cancer and other diseases and boost the immune system. They're like nature's natural antibiotics. The nutrients that are called phytonutrients in plant foods that keep the plant alive and block viruses and bacteria from killing the plant become part of our bodies when we eat these plants. So it's better to eat, as they say, foods from plants than it is to eat foods manufactured in plants. Next slide, please. So more fresh foods instead of processed foods. And these are just some of the antioxidants and phytonutrients you may have heard about. Flavonoids are in onions and apples and berries, citrus fruit, tea, red grapes, and wine. They're in red foods, basically. Isoflavones are in beans, especially soy, so edamames are great to add to the diet and other ways of getting soy. Lutein is great for the eyes. It's in your leafy greens. And lycopene in tomatoes and grapefruit and watermelon help protect men from prostate cancer. Next slide, please. So think of veggies as one of the most powerful foods that we can eat in the diet, and we can eat more fruit and vegetables if we focus on at least one meal a day, like supper, eating half a plate of veggies with dinner. And if at every meal we shoot for 3 to 5 colors at the meal or on our plate, that will help us to get a variety of colors, which means a variety in fruit and vegetables on our plate. There's a synergistic effect when we mix colors. So even a fruit salad with several fruits, several colors mixed together, or a tossed salad with several colors, or a stir fry with several colors, has a synergistic antioxidant impact on our bodies and our health. So mix colors every time you eat, and think of a vegetable as even a snack, like a handful of baby carrots or red little grape tomatoes. Think of fruit as a great dessert, and those are ways we can eat more fruit and vegetables, about 2 to 3 cups of fruit and vegetables a day. And a cup of fruit is basically one fruit. An apple, an orange, or a banana would be about a cup. I like to tell people to think Christmas every time you eat, red and green on every plate. Next slide, please. Remember that fruit and vegetables are so light in calories. By eating more veggies, it's one of the best ways to lose weight. If we were to eat 2 cups of veggies at dinner and maybe 1 cup at lunch with the other foods we eat at each meal, we could lose weight very easily, about 1 pound every week, just because the vegetables with very few calories would be displacing foods that are richer in calories. But as you can see, her vegetables impact so many other health-related factors as well. Next slide. How do we sneak in more veggies in our diet? Well, you got to get creative, but you can always add mushrooms, onions, bell pepper to any dishes like chicken or rice, pasta dishes, tomato sauces, a meat dish, an entree, also fish, chicken, or meat, cook with artichokes, mushrooms, onions. Eat them raw, as we just talked about. I often eat a red bell pepper, a whole one, just cooking dinner if I'm hungry, because it's easy to slice and I like the crunch of it. Even when you eat out, think of an appetizer as a cooked vegetable on a menu as opposed to some of the other richer choices that might be there. Hummus is a bean and a vegetable, so that's a great little snack as well. Huge salads, keeping a refrigerator stocked full of vegetables, looking at your plate to make sure it's got vegetables there, are just ways to eat more vegetables. And even with a sandwich, think of a side as black beans or coleslaw or vegetable soup instead of always thinking about chips. You can always ask out for a double veggie portion if you eat out frequently because restaurants do not give us many vegetable portions. Go vegetarian several times a week, and that will assure you of more veggies. The next food, and next slide, shows you how powerfully valuable beans are to us. And beans come in all shapes, colors, and forms, whether you like them cooked or in salads, cold, they're wonderful. Hummus is made with chickpeas. Bean dips are wonderful, bean soups. Beans and rice are popular in many cuisines. But all beans, the ones on salad bars like kidney beans you often see, and garbanzo beans, they're all healthy. They help to lower cholesterol, lower blood pressure, stabilize blood sugar, and even have been related to helping us lose weight. When all of these benefits can be found when we eat about a half a cup of beans or hummus a day. So a hummus sandwich is great, or a taco salad that you add beans to. Beans are antioxidant rich and nutrient rich, and the type of fiber in beans lowers cholesterol and normalizes blood sugar. Next slide, please. So all the foods we've talked about so far, fruits, vegetables, beans, more seafood, and we're about to talk about oatmeal. All this variety of plant foods are heart protective, and so it's easy to eat our way to good health. Next slide, please. When we eat an abundance of fruit and vegetables in the quantities we've talked about, 2 or 3 large fruit a day, 2 or 3 cups of veggies, 3 whole grains, and 3 cups of milk, in 6 weeks we can lower our blood pressure, cholesterol, and weight. In fact, we can lower blood pressure as much eating this way as we can with medications. And this is called the DASH diet, dietary approach to stop high blood pressure. It's a wonderful way to eat and helps us in more ways than just blood pressure. Next slide, please. Scientists think it's the magnesium and the potassium as well as the calcium that work together to lower blood pressure with these foods. Now, if we take the same style of eating and add a few beans or nuts every day, and a little bit more oil, 2 to 3 tablespoons of healthy oils such as olive oil, you've got the Mediterranean diet. And this diet has been shown to have the same benefits as the DASH diet, but also to block inflammation of the arteries. And it's a little bit more preferable because the more oils you can have, the more you can stir-fry food or make a bigger salad with olive oil in it. So a little bit more healthy oil is actually beneficial in lowering cholesterol. Next slide, please. Just some other mainstays of the Mediterranean diet is a variety of minimally processed foods. So the word variety is important because all foods offer something different, and eating more locally grown foods means less time from the field to your plate, and that helps to maintain more of the nutrition. In the Mediterranean diet, notice that fish and poultry are just consumed a couple of days a week because beans are eaten every day. So there's really more of a vegetarian eating than anything, and meat, red meat, is just eaten a few times a month. Usually it's lamb or very lean meat that is grass-fed and very, very lean. Next slide, please. Another great food to eat are more oats, which are whole grains, and studies show that when we eat a cup and a half of oatmeal a day, or a cup of oatmeal with a tablespoon of oat bran added to it, we get enough of the oat fiber to lower cholesterol in 6 weeks. So oatmeal or oat cereals like Cheerios are great to lower cholesterol. You'd have to eat more, like 3 cups of Cheerios, to get the same benefit as a cup and a half of oatmeal. Quaker now makes an instant high-fiber instant cereal, and my recommendation is to mix that high-fiber cereal with 10 grams of fiber, mix it with a few tablespoons of Quaker Oats, just normal oatmeal, and that will dilute some of the sugar. You get a bigger portion, but a little less sugar than in some of these packaged oatmeal. You can make your own oatmeal, too, in a packet, and put some raisins and almonds or walnuts in it with the measured amount of oatmeal, and that'll give you a quick breakfast every morning that's pre-measured, quick and easy, just like the packets that you buy at the store. Next slide, please. Notice that the type of fiber in oats is also found in Metamucil. So some people like to have 3 tablespoons of Metamucil a day, one with each meal. That will lower cholesterol just as oatmeal will. And oranges and apples and pears and beans, any foods you cook that kind of get sticky when you cook them, that's soluble fiber and will lower cholesterol and excrete it from the body. Next slide, please. We've even discovered that beyond oatmeal, 3 whole grains a day will lower cholesterol, and these are some of the whole grains that are out there. Whole wheat tortillas, corn tortillas, 100% whole wheat bread, even Uncle Ben's new brown rice that you can cook in 90 seconds in your microwave. Corn and popcorn are great ways to get whole grains. So very easy to get a couple of slices of whole wheat bread in a sandwich, or a corn tortilla, oatmeal popcorn in your diet daily, and it will go a long way to helping cholesterol. And also with weight loss, because the fiber is very filling and helps us feel full. Next slide, please. Here's a question, just a quick question for you. Which of the following has 100% whole wheat in it? And I know at the moment I can't hear you respond, but I'll give you the quick answer. It's Triscuits. Triscuits will tell you they're 100% whole wheat. The others have some whole grain, but they're not 100% whole grain. Next slide. So that's why it's important to look for the word 100% on any label you look at, because most Americans get only 10 grams of fiber a day. We need 2 to 3 times that amount. If we eat the recommended amount of fruit and vegetables, whole grains daily, and then either have a half a cup of beans or a high fiber cereal, we can easily meet our fiber needs, which are so good for preventing cancer, heart disease, and weight problems. Remember, fiber is filling. Next slide. We've talked about the benefits of fiber in lowering cholesterol. I won't repeat all these methods. You know what, on this slide you have to quick enter about 5 times to get all the foods to line up. But basically, the foods we just talked about are all very heart healthy, and there's another food we'll talk about shortly called stanols and sterols that are in foods that also help to lower cholesterol. Next slide, please. Number 7 for healthy foods are what we call monounsaturated fats. Really what we want are healthy fats. Olive oil, canola oil, olives, avocado, and nuts are very heart healthy. So these are the ways to get healthy oils in our diet. Next slide, please. And along with the monounsaturated fats are the omega-3 fats, which we already mentioned are in the fatty fish and flaxseed oil. We also get these in soy, canola, and walnuts. Next slide, please. There are 29 lean cuts of beef, so even though we should be eating more seafood and keep our meat portions small, these 29 cuts offers beef that only have 3 grams, in a 3-ounce portion, only contain 10 grams of fat. So these are all worth trying out because beef is very dense in nutrition, but keep the portions small, and you can go to beef.org to find recipes for cooking these lean cuts of beef so they're more tender. Next slide, please. I had mentioned in cholesterol lowering, there is a product added to many foods such as Heartright Smart Balance Margarine, Promise Margarine, Benecol Margarine, and these are plant sterols and stanols that will lower cholesterol if we eat 2 servings a day. Minute Maid has added it to their Heartwise orange juice, so you could have 1 cup of orange juice a day and 1 tablespoon of Heartright margarine and get the benefits that will lower cholesterol. If you have a Kroger in your area, the Healthy Lifestyles milk is on the market, and Minute Maid also has a Healthy Lifestyles orange juice. Both of these products have the sterols added that lower cholesterol, as well as the granola bars and the Cocavia chocolate bars. Next slide, please. Food number 8 on the list, milk. If your diet isn't so good one day in particular, milk will replace many of the nutrients that your diet may have missed that day. So milk is extremely beneficial from a dense nutrition base, a nutrient-rich base. Plus, we now know that there are milk factors, calcium, and what else we don't know. It might be the vitamin D, but something in milk is helping people to lower their blood pressure, prevent diabetes, and, of course, build stronger bones. So many reasons to get back to having low-fat or non-fat milk and yogurt in our diet daily. Next slide, please. One of the worst consequences of inadequate calcium is just porosis of the bones, porous bones, where the bones can break very easily, and your bone actually begins to look like this, like Swiss cheese, and that's why it breaks so easily. Next slide. So that's why we need to do all we can as long as we can to preserve our bones. And we now know that the calcium and D that preserve the bone also preserve muscle and keep our muscles stronger. So all of that provide reasons to keep dairy in our life. Next slide, please. How much dairy do we need? Well, we need about 2 to 3 dairy products a day, which equates to 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams of calcium per day. So one dairy at each meal, or a yogurt or a slice of string cheese, a piece of string cheese at a snack would be ways to include more calcium. Also make sure that you include enough vitamin D3 in the diet. 1,000 milligrams a day that may be listed on a product as 1,000 IUs a day. It's the same thing, but that's how much at least we need daily for stronger bones. Weight-bearing activities where we weight train and we build muscle will build bone as well, and Pilates is a good way to build muscle and bone strength. Next slide, please. Don't forget about sunshine. It's the vitamin we get from just being exposed to the sun. We now know it has more benefits than just bone strength. And again, as I mentioned, it helps prevent diabetes, lowers blood pressure, and seems to protect the arteries and heart. So get tested if you aren't tested yet, because most Americans are very low in vitamin D. We're finding 90% of Americans don't have an adequate vitamin D level and need to take vitamin D. So next time you get your blood work done, get your D tested. Okay, this brings us to food number 9, which is water. And we all need at least 32 ounces of water a day, which is 4 8-ounce glasses, plus 32 ounces from other liquids, including orange juice or milk daily. And next slide. But I don't recommend counting wine is one of those ways to get your fluids, because it's actually more dehydrating and it's too easy to overdo. But we do know up to 2 drinks a day for men or 1 for women seems to have some heart benefits. So up to that much daily is fine, but if you have a history of breast cancer in women, no wine, because alcohol seems to be related to breast cancer. When we speak of 1 drink a day, we're talking about 5 ounces wine. So if your glass, measure your glass at home. If your goblet holds 12 ounces, either fill it up slightly or just use a smaller glass that just holds 5 ounces. So 5 ounces of wine or 12 ounces of beer or an ounce of alcohol are considered to be 1 serving of 1 drink a serving. Next slide, please. And this brings me to nutrient number 10, which you may not think is a nutrient, but it certainly is great nutrition for the body because it adds to our health, and that is exercise daily. Aerobic or cardio exercise we need to do for good heart health would be 30 minutes 5 days a week. Or if you exercise more vigorously, let's say you walk in a hilly area and can walk vigorously or on a treadmill, you can do 20 minutes for 3 times a week. And be sure to include strength training with weights or bands, because just 20 minutes 2 to 3 times a week will build your muscle. Next slide, please. I won't go into all the benefits, but because I'm sure many of you have experienced it, but for myself, I think what I enjoy most are the top 3 benefits here. The energy boosting effect of exercise daily. Just a good brisk walk is so good for energy. It decreases your stress, gets rid of stress, and for me, it's the best brain organizer when you're on brain overload. It tends to organize and file your thoughts. So exercise has tremendous benefits in many ways. Next slide. We have learned this year that it's not just important to move, but also separately to not sit too long at one time. In other words, you can exercise first thing every morning and then go to your desk and sit 10 hours, and it's still deleterious to your health. We're finding higher cholesterol levels and higher diabetes risk in those that sit for 10-hour stretches, even if they've exercised first thing in the morning. So what we know is that we need to get up every hour and move, and that will help us a lot. Next slide, please. And moving just 15 or 20 minutes is like walking 1 mile, and over the course of a year, that can burn off 10 pounds. So, and that's just 15 minutes to 20 minutes a day. What if you doubled it and walked 2 miles a day? That's 20 pounds. And here's some ways to just move more in your day. Remember to walk the dog, even if you don't have one. Next slide, please. Just another idea to fit in fitness daily, during a TV commercial, get up and walk or jump rope, do squats or sit-ups, jumping jacks, free weights. Don't use your remote. Get up and move it yourself. Move the station yourself. You might, if you have a favorite show, watch it while you're on a treadmill or a cycle. A friend of mine watches movies, and She splits them up into 3 segments, 3 different days on her treadmill, so she motivates herself to get through the movie by staying on that treadmill 3 days. Next slide, please. So little things go a far way to helping us to enjoy better health. I think I may just stop right here to see if there are questions, and if we have time, I'll talk about a few ideas for meal planning, but if not, why don't I just take a few minutes as a good breaking point to see if you have questions.
Thank you, Georgia. Sorry about the slow start getting the slides up and running, but I think it went a little bit smoother after that. We will have time for questions. There's 2 ways that you can do it. You can go ahead and raise your hand on the side screen, or you can type in your question down below. I know Vicki and I actually have a couple questions to ask you.
Sure.
My first one is regarding the supplements. I know you touched on it regarding the omega-3s, but fish is certainly not my favorite. And I don't know how to incorporate that without swallowing 3 huge fish oil tablets.
Well, fortunately, the fish oil, well, first of all, the fish oil tablets now are gel, so they slide down easily, even though I do agree they're big. They slide down pretty easily. The other thing, if you keep them refrigerated, they don't have a fishy smell at all. But you can now get fish oils that are flavorless and tasteless in a liquid form. Nordic Naturals is one brand, Spectrum is another, and you usually find them, well, once you open them, then you have to refrigerate them, but a tablespoon is very good. You could add it to a glass of orange juice. You could put it in a smoothie in your blender. I know people that just mix it in with a salad dressing. They mix it with some oil and vinegar and put it on a salad. So there are many ways to get it, but it comes now in grape and cherry, and all these flavors are, even the plain is flavorless. So the fish oil would be, liquid may be another tip for you. And then if that doesn't work, then at least the products fortified with the omega-3s would be for you. And don't forget about the even the pastas and cereals that have flaxseed added. Or you could take flaxseed and grind it, or buy it ground and add a couple of tablespoons of it to your food daily. You could add it to oatmeal or cereal in the morning, top yogurt with it, even put it on top of a salad. You could put it in meatloaf. I mean, it's delicious. They taste like sesame seeds. They're absolutely delicious.
Thank you very much. I have a question
You're welcome.
here. What's the difference in vitamin D and D3?
Okay, a good question. I would go for vitamin D3. It's the more active form of vitamin D, and so is absorbed a little bit better by the body. So I would go with vitamin D3 that you can buy at any drugstore.
Okay. Did you have a question?
There are also prescriptions, right? Prescription drug.
Right.
You can get prescription, and it's inexpensive, but I take one a week. Of course, you have to remember to take it when you're only taking it once a week.
That's right. Put it on your calendar.
A little bit of an issue.
Yeah, that is so true. And the same thing with fish oil, by the way. You can get Lavazza prescription, and I don't suggest getting it till you've passed your deductible because it is very expensive. But if you're past the deductible, what I like about Lavazza prescription fish oil is that you're guaranteed that it is 100% fish oil in the tablet.
Georgia, I know that you said you would make your book available to us at a discounted rate of $29.95. And so if anyone would like to order one, please contact Ellen here at SFG, and she will arrange that for you. Any other questions?
I have another one regarding butter versus margarine. I know you mentioned the Heart Smart margarines, but it seems like I've heard so many arguments that margarine's not good for you, butter's better for you. No, wait, no, butter's bad for you, margarine's good for you.
Right. It's an ever-changing landscape. And, you know, the good news is, I know it's frustrating, but the good news is we just keep finding out new things about nutrition every day. The best thing to do, really, is to use your oils because that natural liquid oil is truly the best form of fat to use. But when you do need a spread, like for toast or something like that, go for your soft tub margarines or the pump spray. With the pump sprays, you just don't use that much margarine, period. But the soft tub margarine is still better than butter because when it's in a soft tub, it's closer to the oil liquid state. And so you want the softer ones because once a product is hardened, like a butter stick is hard or a margarine, a hard stick, you want to avoid the hardened fats and stick with the softer liquid oils because once they're hardened, they have too many saturated fats or trans fats that are bad for us. So, the less is best when it does come to the spreads. But now that there's some spreads with these phenols added that lower cholesterol, there's a little added benefit for some of those soft tub margarines with phenols added.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So are there any more questions from the attendees? Oh, there's one more. Hold on.
Okay. And if there isn't one, I might have you just jump ahead to about a couple of slides up, and I'll just go over a couple of other points.
Okay, I actually have one more question. I've heard
Sure,
that
that'd be great.
I've heard that a krill fish oil pill is more concentrated than simple fish oil. Is that true?
Wow, that's a very good question. I have not seen how much is in those particular tablets. I'm aware of them, but quite honestly, I've never checked them out. If they're more concentrated but still give you 1,000 milligrams of the fish oil, then it would be in a smaller pill. If it's concentrated smaller, that would be fine. But what I would suggest is to check the label of what the food that you're looking, the label of the product you're looking at. That's where I want you to be sidewise, so that's great. Anyway, what I would say, look at your label and make sure it is truly DHA and EPA as the oils in that krill oil product, because those are the ones that are the most active form of fish oil. You don't want to have another type of oil. Make sure it's EPA and DHA in that concentrated pill.
Okay, thank you. It looks like that's all for questions right now. So if you want to go ahead and continue on.
Sure. We have a couple of minutes here, so why not? I just wanted to show you how to put it all together. So next slide, please. If you're trying to find ways to get the top 10 foods we just talked about in your diet, if you'll switch to the next slide after this one, here's a picture for you just to give you a visual of what it would look like. The foods you're about to see comprise 800 calories, and if that's too many calories for one meal for you, you could split it up into 2 meals. But notice the color. There's a glass of milk, there's berries, but it's strawberries and blueberries mixed together. So instead of the antioxidant power being 1 plus 1 equals 2, it's 1 plus 1 equals 10 because of the synergistic effect of adding different foods together. The same with the salad. Those are little red onions on top, 3 colors in that salad. So look how colorful the meal is. On the plate, there's a 3-ounce portion of lean beef. That could be added to the salad top and cut in strips, so that could be lunch with the fruit, and the milk could have been added with breakfast. And the plate has black beans and brown rice blended together, and notice the blend of vegetables, the red and green again, carrots and green beans. So these are just examples to show you healthy eating. Notice the dinner plate has 3/4 plant foods and 1/4 meat. And that is so healthy. That's a pattern of eating that keeps your portions right. If your portions are that way with 1/4 protein, 3/4 plant foods, you never have to count calories. That plate is 400 calories. So it's an easy way to keep your calories in check without counting calories, plus allow you to get the fiber, the nutrients, the fat low, cholesterol low, protein the right level when you divide your plate this way. So 2 basic principles with health. The meal planning are demonstrated on the plate. Divide your plate up into 4ths, like we just described, 3/4 plant foods, and then go for 3 to 5 colors at least per meal, and mix a variety of foods so that you get the variety of nutrients. And if we go 2 slides up, there's just another quick picture for you. That slide just told you what I just said, but these are just some more examples. With the cereal in the morning, add some nuts and fruit. The rice and bean dish, we added tomato. You could add onion and celery and carrots cooked in there. Even add 2 types of beans just because of that synergistic effect. And then stir fries and stews are fabulous too. The next slide, I'll just show you the, again, dividing the plate. And if you look at the plate on the right, even the red skin is left on those little new potatoes because, again, there's red on that plate, and the skins of your plant foods contain so much additional nutrition and those powerful phytonutrients and antioxidants. The menus that are suggested in this book do have that plate pictured in the book with menus set up to fit that plate if you're looking for some new food ideas. And let's see if there's one more slide I would show you. Maybe the next slide, too, shows you that concept. And one slide more, and this is about portions. If you remember one thing about portions, this is a slide to remember. A cup of serving is the size of a baseball or tennis ball. You want vegetables and fruit to be at least the size of a baseball or tennis ball. You want starches to never be bigger than a baseball. You want salad dressing to never be more than a golf ball size, which is 2 tablespoons. And you want your meat, fish, and poultry to be 3 ounces, which is about the size of a deck of cards. If you know that those are the right portions to shoot for, you will never have a problem with going over a desired calorie limit a day, and secondly, in keeping the right balance of portions, which is what balance and color mean on a healthy plate of food. So my best wishes and good health to everyone there. Make it a healthy year, and if anyone would ever like personalized nutrition counseling over the phone, feel free to give me a call. Thank you,
One
Schultz.
question?
Sure.
Okay. What about the high concentrate of pesticides in bell peppers, berries, etc.? Are they still worth eating even if you can't get organic?
You know, they're organic when it comes to pepper. You're right. Bell peppers is one of those that is better organic. However, even if it is organic or not, scrub it real well, and you can scrub off so much of the residue just with a brush, a vegetable brush, and running water. But all produce should be well scrubbed, but that helps and goes a long way in removing residue. So I think it's definitely worthwhile to eat the bell pepper, even though we do know that more pesticides are used with it. Just wash it off and scrub it well. Great. And the running water, the friction of the running water is real important. It kills bacteria.
Thank you so much, Georgia.
Thank you for joining us today. And Georgia, we really appreciate your time and effort in this, and we look forward to speaking with you again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.